Hello everyone. Today I am going to discuss the topic timber transportation by the means of water. Okay, it means we are going to discuss water transportation of timber from felling sites or felling areas to the needful places or destination of that could be sawmills, that could be market, right? Here the water transportation is categorized or mainly divisible into some broad methods, that is floating, rafting and booms. Okay, and we will discuss them here separately one by one. And normally these water transportation are utilized along the hill side in some states of India, but it was actually practiced earlier. But nowadays roads, motor roads are approached, or approach roads are now become available everywhere, and only some portion of land transport is there from felling side to the uploading side. Okay, otherwise this water transport or upcoming aerial transport is very restricted or very negligible nowadays, right? The utilization of natural waterways constitute the oldest and generally least expensive form of extraction of timber from forest area, right? As it does not need any much more investment and manpower also, but the streams and rivers in all the forest areas helps to bring the timber from forest to the market, right? In our country, streams and rivers have been used for many years. Earlier days, this was the prominent method actually. We have also seen in at some places in our area, as I belongs to Uttarakhand only, since almost from the very beginning of the utilization of forests, right? On many of these streams, improvement have been carried out and thus resulting in minimize the unit cost of transport. Okay, because there are some advantages, there are some disadvantages also. In this way, through this water transport, there may chance of damage of wood also, as the wood or logs or sawn materials are just free flowing on the river, and there may corners or river banks, those are hard. Stone rocks are there, and some bigger boulders are in between the pathway of river also, and just by the uh, uh, crossing these obstacles, the timber may damaged, their corners may split or their corners may rugged therein. Okay, timber transportation by water is generally the cheapest form, as we have discussed also, from whenever available and practicable. Okay, it has widely practiced throughout the Himalayan region, as I have mentioned also, and to some extent in the parts of peninsular India, as well as eastern and western Ghats along the extremes. And it is only possible with the enough quantity of water only, or it is also mandatory or a condition that the only floatable species are used by this method. Okay, water transportation is extensively used in the coniferous forest, right, of northwest Himalaya, like Uttarakhand, Himachal only. Okay, owing to the frequency and availability of streams and rivers, those are adjacent to the forest areas, or especially the felling areas, felling sites, right? Water transport may be dealt with the some following heads, as it is practiced by the means of floating, rafting and booms, and then wet slides, right? Then we move to the very first type, that is floating, and there are several plus and minus, there are several advantages and disadvantages of this method also, and other methods also, but floating is described here in very detail. as we seen in this text, and it is practiced especially for softwoods as mentioned in earlier slide, means conifer species, right? Floatability is essentially a matter of species gravity, and it involves hygroscopic and absorptive quality of different species. Every species is not used by this method, right? If logs are left in water for longer period, many of the species which ordinarily float may become waterlogged and sink, right? Some species continues to float better than others, okay? Others get waterlogged more quickly. The ability of floating of wood depend on the amount of and character of cell cavities in the wood, right? The timber that has been floated in water are often preferred in market, right? Why? However, the timber is liable to surface cracks when exposed to sun and wind for a longer period, right? Hardwood, on account their greater weight, are difficult to float. Softwoods are generally light and float easily. That's why conifer species are preferred by this method, right? Floating consists the allowing of timber to be drift with the current of water, and by separate units or pieces, that could be logs, that could be sawn timber, right, without direct control of men. Sometimes peoples are managed or deputed for controlling the blockage in the river bends, wherever the bends are there or some obstacles are there, then only some workers are deployed therein, okay? During its passage down the river, okay, the timber is hauled from the forest to the stream bank. Wait for further main condition for floating, that it should be restored mainly in the narrow streams, that should be shallow also or rocky, and in which current is too swift for the management of rafts, right? In view of the above mentioned facts, that the floating is generally done in the upper reaches of the river or streams which are narrow and where the flow of water is quite swift, right? It should not be very slow, it should not be very fast, right one. There are some conditions, those are necessary for floating, and these are mentioned here. There should be an ample and enough amount of and reliable water flow, preferably throughout the stream season whenever the floating is practiced, right? The stream should be sufficiently wide to take the large sized logs or sleepers turning round, right? Generally, only short logs can be successfully floated and driven in the smaller stream. Not large sized logs could be used in the narrow ones, right? The banks are steep and high along the water course. Low banks are subjected to flooding and are not desirable because of loss of timber during the course of this floating, right? The current should be swift as mentioned earlier also, and laid of stream reasonably free from obstructions, right, as mentioned also. Artificial improvement can be made by blasting of rocks in order to make the stream floatable. The stream should flow in the direction of market or the final destinations, okay? The stream should have sufficient depth depending on the size of timber to be floated, right? The stream should not have very rapid falls as damage would result in the material. It need not be uniform and may vary considerably. Best fall is 1 in 200 to 1 in 70 measurement, right? Here we have some plus and some minus regarding this floating practice, and first we have to discuss this advantages, right? The floating is cheapest form of transportation provided favorable condition of water flow, rainfall and floatable species are present, right? The initial investment and operation cost are very low. Even unskilled labor can be employed only to monitor the material that is floating. The time consumed to bring the timber is relatively short. Okay, floating is especially adaptable to remote, inaccessible areas and requires very little equipment of an expensive type, because where the roads are not constructed and it is not possible to transport material through trucks or rails. The only method is the water transport or the floating one, right one. Next we have some disadvantages also, and here these are: the losses occurs due to shrinkage, breakage in the jams, blockage and staffing along the banks. During unfavorable season they may be considerable and may vary from 2 to 25 or more of the total volume, right? Floating is applicable on the floatable species only, right? The cloud burst and floods have important bearing on the operation. Flood causes of timber and boom breakage sometime. Okay, some species are liable to sap stains and are affected in floating. There is a great edge on damage to the logs and timber. Sand, dirt and dust accumulates on the timber also, which may be very harmful to the sawmills. Okay, further we have some problems during this floating practice. In the portion of river where the fall is great, very rapid falls sometimes occur in the hilly region, from high portion to low portion. When the river is flowing from this type of situation, then the river is studded with projecting rocks. It is difficult to float the logs and scuttlings. These rapids and projecting rocks use a hindrance in floating operations. T rapids can be avoided by a line of logs. Those are moved slantwise across the stream so that the timber is driven in the prepared channel, projecting and sunken rocks, right? Standard or sunken trees should be cleared and made for smooth floating by blasting with the dynamite or blasting powder, right? Sometimes back water hinder the floating operations also near by the bend in that river or stream, right? There are several type of floats, and these are here. Number one of them is telescopic floating, then river floating or free floating or sweeping. Okay, so first we have to discuss this telescopic floating. It means we are simply making channels or nalas on the flowing stream with the help of the scantlings or planks, and here we will discuss about its making also, how these are prepared in the streams or rivers, and this is restored only in the upper ridges, as we have mentioned earlier also, of the stream, which have plenty of water, and if not throughout the year, at least especially during the rainy season also. The beds of the streams are often covered with the rocks, and these have a moderate fall, not very rapid falls, right? The entire stream is made floatable by building pathru, and as I have said, the artificial channels by using wood planks over and around the obstructions, right? The open framework of scantling is built between or over the boulders in such a way that a flowing channel, water channel of scantlings placed lengthwise can rest firmly on it, on this river. Okay, overlapping constructions begin from the landing depots. I would like to draw here the picture. Suppose this is last platform, last piece of that this is landing depot. Okay, we have to store here for temporary store timber when the floating is over. Then the channel will construct like this. This is overlapping to the last one. Okay, then this is the way to construct. This is the way to construct. The earlier one will always above the last one, right? Here this is the way to construct the telescopic floating platform, right? As mentioned here, overlapping constructions begin from the landing depot. This is landing depot and progress downstream by passing down the skins over the constructed pathway by the help of water, right one. Telescopic floating is done in nalas with easy to moderate gradient. As we have said, there should be no rapid fall, where the extraction of timber by other method will too expensive. In such areas it will be used. Sometimes this is combined with wet slide also. This is the again method for wet slide also, right? The method is commonly employed for extraction of sawn timber by this way only in the hill forest. Okay, this method should not be used for logs, right, of this region, northwest Himalaya, as Uttarakhand or Himachal is there. If however some small logs, poles or splits have to be floated also, there must be sufficient sawn scantlings along with for construction of pathru wherever necessary. This is known as pathru actually, or this is telescopic platform, right? Then we move to next type, that is river floating or free floating or sweeping. In this there is no need to construct any wooden platform or nalas or channel. In this way the logs or sawn timber are just allowed to flow in the river or streams. And river floating or free floating is simple operation. As mentioned, the timber that is brought to main river is launched for free floating. The object is to keep the river free of jams without any obstructions or jamming by the floating timber. Okay, and the timber sweep in the river. The stranded timber on the obstruction and sandy banks is relaunched with the help of the employees. Those are there for monitoring purposes, and there is a fairly large labor force consisting of ordinary river labor and swimmers also, right? There is an advance party to ensure that no jams occur against the obstruction in this operation at any place or at the bend portions also, right? And if some blockades occurs, it is promptly tangled without any delay. The rear party with large labor force forms the sweeping party, and the rest spread themselves along the entire length, opening up jams and watching timber against theft and various other mishappenings, right? In the river floating, the time of floating is of utmost importance. The earlier the timber is launched is better. The river floating is commenced soon after the rains, when there is not much danger of floods. In case of floods, there is great danger of timber getting strewn along the banks, and it is not feasible to practice river floating during this flood timings, right? When two or more traders use the same streams, companies to be formed, the expense being shared among the operators in the proportion of the timber of each party, and each piece of timber is marked or stamped at one or both ends, and identity marks engraved to indicate the ownership at the start of floating, right? Stream floating is generally practiced for distance around 100 to 200 kilometers in streams, and the average distance covered on the daily basis is about 2 to 3 kilometers. That will depend upon the width of stream, volume of water or flow of nature, and depth of stream also, and the length of floating, right? During floating operations, some losses of timber result in the transit also. The river losses are generally 2 to 3% and seldom exceeds sometime 5%, right? The losses are mainly due to theft, stranded and buried timber, and These losses can be kept down by enforcing strict supervision, right? Now we comes to the third method of this water transport, that is log floating. And in our country, streams are generally adopted to floating of scantlings and small side logs. Too long and too large length of logs cannot be transported by water due to inadequate amount of water available and obstruction in the river beds. Sometimes long large width span rivers are not also available in the hilly region, or due to that the long large logs cannot be transported in such type of streams or rivers, right? For floating logs, skilled labor is required, and the logs may take a longer period of time to reach the destination also. In Assam, large logs of heavy species are brought down by attaching them to bamboo floats on one either side and allowed to drift uncontrolled till they reach the boom, right? As in Assam there is Brahmaputra river or other tributaries also, and these are quite having large width span, and there is no problem in moving the large size logs also. Okay, then we comes to the second main method, that is rafting. Or rafting is quite important in the earlier days when the water transport was most practicable for the mentioned species. A quantity of wood firmly wound together is termed as raft section, and a number of sections make a raft, right? As a river floating operations were the earliest in the development of timber extraction, so did rafting represents the earliest stage of development in the floating of timber. After this free floating or free sweeping or whichever it is, rafting was the next step or next modification, right? Initially the rafts were made exclusively of the logs, but with the extraction of sawn timber from the forest, rafts were made of sawn timber also, bamboos, firewoods, and even the grasses also. Coupled with the stream floating, rafting was essentially for the delivery of timber in the depots. In earlier days, those are situated in the river side, right? Singly floating timber was collected at booms, and rafts were made for movement down to the market, right? The rafts generally cover a distance of 40 to 60 kilometers in one day, and during flood period 70 to 100 kilometers. Those are often made. Okay, rafting is generally done during winter months after the rains, when there is no danger of flood, or in case of sudden floods, some damages is bound to result to rafts also, because there is chances to damage the raft or its breakage or its unlocking, and they have to be stopped at that time, repaired, and then floated down again, right? There are type of rafts, and these are log rafts, sawn timber raft, and bamboo raft, right? The bamboo rafts, log rafts are made up of 6 to 10 sections, and each section consists of 16 to 20 logs. Those are laid parallel to each other and placed longitudinally with the stem, right? Size of logs which can be rafted depend on the nature of stem or its width also, its depth also, right? As far as possible, logs of equal lengths are put in each section, and largest and heaviest logs are put in the leading section, right? Logs in the each section are tied by canes, chains, or ropes passed through drag holes, right? Non-floatable timbers are rafted by the means of floats made of bundles of bamboos or light timber. Okay, these are attached to floatable rafts. The raft crew varies from 4 to 5 persons who live in the huts made on a raft, right? This is quite tedious job for them. The raft is guided by 4 oars or drivers. Those will drive the raft, and 2 in front and 2 in the rear side, right? Then we comes to next sawn timber raft, and it is of various form. Scantlings, planks, and sleepers have to be rafted downstream by this method, and these all are fastened together in bundles with the ropes and slide into water from to form into a raft, and it will be also made accordingly as per this fashion, right? Then we comes to bamboo raft, and these are tied into a bundle. Each bundle consists of 50 to 100 columns, and 10 to 12 such bundles consist a section, and then 10 to 15 such sections make a raft, and that is known as bamboo raft. The average number of bamboos carried in a raft is about 10,000, right? And then we comes to the booms, and this is third method of water transportation, or third modification also, start from floating. And boom is a Dutch word that means floating obstruction, an artificial floating obstruction actually, a barricade that made across a river to intercept the slightly or singly floating timber coming down a river, with a view to catching, collecting or diverting them into the channels. They serve the following purposes, right? To tie the timber into raft and float it collectively under direct supervision of timber towards the market, especially in the plain areas, right? It again serves as the separating timber of various owners at sorting places, and also to prevent timber floating into back waters and side channels, right? In our country, the booms are principally used for collection of singly floating timber and tie it into the rafts, right? The sorting of timber takes place at the boom site also. Okay. Selection of site for a boom. As we know where the booms are constructed, these are normally constructed at the wide spans of rivers, and there are some condition for construction of booms in the river side. Okay. For selection of site for or location of a boom, the following points are necessary to consider. The width of river should be narrow to facilitate control and to reduce expenditure and minimize the danger of breakage also. Okay. The main boom point should be narrow in nature, right? It should be near the foothills, okay, where the river debouches into the plains, below which there should be no obstruction, rocks, boulders or rapids, right? The speed of water should be slow, preferably it should be situated below a bend. Okay. Boom should be just after or near the bend, or just after that bend, river bend. Okay. The bank of river should be high or encourage and getting a well defined river course, right? Shallow water should be available along the banks for to facilitate the raft construction, right? There should be enough space on either side for stacking the timber. Wide spacing is needful for this temporary storing or temporary drying of the catched material, and it should be near to motor road or a railway station or a market to facilitate the easy disposal of the timber, right? Now we come to the type of booms, and the booms may be classified according to their use and their making, right? The booms are the permanent or fixed booms, and next the temporary or floatable booms, right? The permanent booms are seldom used in our country due to great fluctuation in the volume and speed of current in streams. Permanent booms which demand heavy capital expenditure are not feasible. Temporary booms are used, which can be dismantled after the season and then again reinstalled when required. Okay. The booms are classified according to design, and there are two main kinds of boom. There is one more condition, as the fairing sites are also being changed time to time, and the permanent booms are also not feasible in this manner, right? As per their construction or design, booms are a single arm or one way boom, and the two way or V-shaped boom, right? The figures are here for separate for both type, and first we describe this single arm or one way boom. The boom generally consists of several sections. Those are made up of sleepers or logs. Those are linked together by main wire cable. This is main wire cable, okay, and also known as anchorage, bend or main cable, right? To which they are fastened. Each cable is stretched from end to end and it is fastened to some strong anchorage on the banks. The boom is permanently anchored at its upper end only, and when not in the use, it lies along the banks, right? Or may be dismantled and restored also. Okay. In order to get the boom in position, a number of guy ropes are attached at the intervals at 1 meter, 2 meter, 3 meter gap, and always at right angle to the boom to give maximum support and rigidity. Okay. When guy ropes are loosened, the boom swings back with the current and lies along the bank. Okay, this is water current, and if there are no guy ropes, then it will goes along this one. Okay, with the force of water. That's why guy ropes are necessary to withhold this boom or to make it function properly. The boom consists of boom proper and line or log line or line dory, right? This is line dory boom proper. Okay. Then we move to the second type, that is two-way or Y-shaped boom, and the arms of the boom incline at the angle of 40 degree. This is 40 degree angle between both lines, and at the apex on the downstream side, right? The apex of the boom has to be kept at the point of maximum velocity, and the boom is made of sleepers supported by main cable 10 centimeter with 10 centimeter girth. This is main cable. Okay, and this is again main cable, right? Running along the length and anchored on river banks. These are the anchoring of these main cables, right? Guy ropes of 7 to 8 centimeter size. These are the guy ropes at both sides. Hold the boom in position and for proper functioning. Arms of the boom are made up of sleepers. Those are 3.66 meter to 25 centimeter into 30 centimeter by placing 3 sleepers side by side. Okay, these are the placement of sleepers or planks, right? These are giving rise the power to the boom, and these are guy ropes. These are main cables, right? This is water current, and these are the measurements of this two-way or Y-shaped boom, right? And I hope these pictures definitely clears all the things about the two-way or Y-shaped boom, or this one-way or single arm boom also, right? Thank you.